Hello, this is Mr. Huber. In this lesson, we're going to look at compositions of transformations. A composition is when you compose something. In this case, we're going to compose some transformations. We're going to look at compositions of two transformations. You can do compositions of more than two, but we're going to focus on just doing two at a time. And what it is, we're going to put together a couple of the transformations, like a translation, reflection, rotation, within the same problem. One particular transformation that's a composition we want to give a name to is a glide reflection. Glide reflection is like what it sounds like, glide, which is a slide, that's a translation, followed by a reflection. Okay? And if we do a glide reflection, we're going to find out as well that if we do the reflection part first and then the glide, we're still going to end up with the same final image. That's not true of all compositions, but this is one particular one where it does. That's why we give it that specific name, glide reflections. If we look here at these paw prints, okay, a glide reflection, we translate and then reflect. Now we can keep going, translate and then reflect. Glide reflection. We'll end up with that image of the paw print the same as if we did the reflection part first. If we reflect and then glide, again, we will end up with that same image after we do that composition. Okay, so the paw print in this particular instance, right, is a glide reflection, and we can see that this is the one time, this glide reflection, where we can do them in reverse order. We're going to see some other compositions where it will matter what order you do the transformations in. Okay, let's look at an actual geometric shape here, this triangle. Okay. In this triangle, it's asking, is A double prime, B double prime, C double prime a glide reflection? Note the double primes, right? Our first transformation will give us an image that's A prime, B prime, C prime. We can see that right here. Okay? And then we do another transformation and we end up with the double primes. Okay? So let's look at whether this might be a glide reflection. To go from A, B, C to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, it looks like we're doing a reflection here across the x-axis. And then we're taking that image and getting the double prime image by sliding over to the left. So we're doing a reflection across the x-axis, and then we're doing a translation that is moving our figure to the left by 5 units. And the y isn't moving up or down at all. We're just going to the left 5. If you look at, for instance, the point C prime to C double prime, we're going from an x value of 2 to an x value of negative 3. That's moving to the left 5. And the y values are both negative 1. It's not going up or down at all. Okay. If we took that original figure and we did the translation first, so if we slid this to the left, okay, we could slide that to the left 5, and then when we got that image, like C would go to there for C prime, to left 5, then we can reflect it across the x-axis. So it's the same two transformations in a different order. In a glide reflection, that order won't matter. So this is a glide reflection. We can translate and reflect and end up with our final image, the double primes. Let's look at another glide reflection here. If we take the endpoints of segment CD, so let's graph those. C is at 1, 2, and D is at 5, 4. Right here. And that's the point C and D, and we connect those with our segment. Then we want to graph the image after the glide reflection. We're going to do the translation. We're going to move left 4, and the y value doesn't change at all. Okay, so we're moving to the left 4. and the y is not moving up or down at all. So that's our C prime, D prime. And then we want to reflect across the x-axis. So our reflection across the x-axis, we'll take C double prime right there. Let's make that a little more clear on that double prime notation. And then D double prime, it's 4 units above the x-axis, so we're going to go 4 units below the x-axis, right there. And we could draw in our line. Okay. And that would be the translation, followed by the reflection. We're shifting everything to the left 4, and then we're reflecting across the x-axis. Here's a triangle. What I'd like you to do is be able to try this one on your own. Draw the original triangle, translate it, and then reflect it. And there's a notes file that you can completed that you can check that on and see if you've done that correctly or not. Okay, so try that one out to see how you can handle a glide reflection. This composition of transformations is going to be a translation followed by a rotation. Okay? So we're going to take the triangle ABC, and first we're going to do the composition in the order that it's given, and then we're going to reverse the order. So first let's draw triangle ABC. Triangle ABC is at 3, 1 for point A. Point B is at 1, 5. And point C is at 5, 3. And we draw in our triangle. And there's our original pre-image, ABC, triangle ABC. Now we're going to do the translation to the left 6 and plus 1. So you can just count on the graph, or again, if you come up here in these original points and you subtract 6 and add 1, right? Point A, if you go down to your graph and you just count over to the left 6 and up 1, all right, you're at negative 3, 2. So negative 6 plus 1, negative 6 plus 1. We're going to graph those points and label them. This is going to be A prime. Okay, B prime is going to be at negative 5, 6. Make the correct notations. C is at negative 1, 4. Use prime notation. And so now we're going to take that image, A prime, B prime, C prime, that triangle, and we're going to do the rotation on that particular image. If we want to take those coordinates, A prime, for instance, is at negative 3, 2. If you remember, a 90-degree rotation means we take all the points A, B, and they are then going to be written as negative B, A. So A prime to A double prime means we're going to take the B coordinate of 2, and it's going to be now negative 2. And then negative 3 for our Y value, right? That's our A value, just stays the same. Here we switch them and switch the sign of the B value, the X coordinate. B prime is at negative 5, 6. That means B double prime is going to be at negative 6, negative 5. And C prime, which was at negative 1, 4, is going to go to negative 4, negative 1. That's for C double prime. So let's graph those. Okay, A double prime is at negative 2, negative 3. B double prime is at negative 6. So we go over 6, and then down 5. And then C double prime is at negative 4, negative 1. And if we graph that in, and we should label it as A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. And our figure ends up where we expect it to. We shifted it over to the left 6 and up 1. We were in quadrant 2 there. Right? Our red image, the first image, A prime, B prime, C prime triangle is in quadrant 2. If we rotate 90 degrees, that should take us into quadrant 3, and it does. Okay, so that looks like we're in the right spot. So keep in mind the order we did that transformation, the composition. Now we want to reverse those. Okay, we're going to take our original triangle, which is still at those same original points, graph that back in, and then point C was at 5, 3. So there's point A, B, C. Now we first want to do the rotation. So the rotation means we're going to take all of those coordinates and we're going to switch. So our A, another different color there, our A prime, okay, A was at 1, 3. So 1, 3 is going to now go to negative 3, 1. B prime, that's at 1, 5, so negative 5. I didn't switch those on my first coordinate. Let's fix that. Okay, so that was at 3, 1, so it would be negative 1, 3. And then C prime, okay, point C is at 5, 3, so negative 3, 5. And if I graph those points, A prime is at negative 1, 3. B prime is at negative 5, 1. And C prime is at negative 3, 5. So that's A prime, B prime, C prime. And now we're going to do the translation, which is moving us to the left 6 and up 1. So if I put these points to the left 6 and up 1, you can see, for instance, that B double prime point is going to be off the left side of our graph. I think we'll see pretty quickly this is not going to be the same final image we had up here in our first graph. So negative 7, 4 be right here. I mean, we really don't even have to look any further to see that this A double prime is different than this A double prime. They're not in the same location. Neither are any of them going to be. We could redraw the whole triangle. We're going to see that it comes out to a different final image. So the order you do a composition makes a difference. Right? It's going to affect where your final image is. We see the glide reflection is the one example where that's not going to be true, but in general, follow the order the composition's given, and then you don't have to worry about whether it's going to make a difference or not, because sometimes it does, and you don't want to get caught doing it out of order when it matters. Right? So follow the composition, the order it's given. Just do your regular rules for the translation, the reflection, or the rotation, and then follow it up with whatever the next translation, reflection, or rotation is to get your final image. Right? And so this last example I'd like again to have you try. You should try it both directions, orders of the compositions. First do the rotation, then the reflection, see what your final image is. Then do the reflection followed by the rotation. See if it comes out to the same final image or not. Again, this problem's on the completed notes sheet, so you can do it and check and see if it looks like you're following the composition correctly.